Hello everyone, welcome back to this lecture series on research methods. In our previous two videos, we discussed about the introduction part of the research. And in the second video, we discussed about the preliminaries required for a research. And in this video, we are discussing about referencing and citations. This is actually a supportive lesson for the next part of the research. If you have watched our previous videos, you will know that the very first thing we need to do in the research is to understand the background. As soon as you get a topic or a research idea, you need to understand the subject area. And then from that, you need to come to defining the problem, the exact problem that you are going to solve through the research. And after that, you set an aim and a set of objectives to your research. After that, one might think that you can start your own research work. If you're thinking of collecting data, conducting surveys, or maybe doing some lab work, right? It's not the case. You need to come through another stage, which is known as the literature review, or as some people refer to it as the prior art search. Literature review or the prior art search is about referring to or as looking at what others have done previously. Because research or finding new knowledge is not a journey that we go on our own. Many centuries ago, scientists, philosophers, they started finding out new knowledge. They started producing information and knowledge for us. So we are going in that journey, and our job is to take one step further, and later on, someone else will again continue what we have done. So in the literature review especially, we will be looking at the information already available to us, the knowledge that is already there, using external sources. There can be different types of external sources, such as research articles, publications, books, and the resources available on the web. It can be a person or a group of people, a company or an entity. It can be audios, videos, recordings, interviews, newspaper articles, magazines, whatever it is. All these can be used to collect information, and we get that information. It just doesn't have to be information all the time. It can be raw data, it can be a theory, an idea, illustration, a graphical output, experimental results, or as just a conclusion or a recommendation, whatever it is, whatever that you need to extract to support your study, you can get them from the previous work. And then you put them maybe in your literature review when you are defining the problem, or else when you are developing your methodology, you use external support or else external resources to get information in general. When you are doing that, you need to make sure that you have properly acknowledged the sources, because it's not your own work. It doesn't belong to you. So when you are presenting it in your report, in your thesis, or in some other document, or maybe even a PowerPoint presentation, you can't show it as your own work because you took it from somewhere else. Therefore, in academic writing, in the world of research, it is a must to acknowledge the external sources. So to do this acknowledgement, we have an internationally accepted way of doing it. And that's where referencing and citations come into play. You need to use the correct standard, correct technique, and the correct format. So when you do it, one benefit you gain is you can claim the originality of your work. Also, it will help the authors of the sources that you refer to claim the originality of their work. Right? So the things you have referred belong to some other parties, And the other parts, such as your methodology, your results, your data, they will belong to you. And at the same time, when you are presenting it to an audience, to a panel of evaluators, it will show that you have done enough investigations, you have referred to enough external sources. So it increases the validity or the value of your study. It shows that your study is relevant, and it shows that you have done enough search on your own. Right? So the very first thing for referencing is finding out suitable sources, or else a place to get information from. So one thing to remember here is these sources should be credible and reliable. You can't refer to any source as you wish. Right? So these are some of the generally accepted types of sources, I would say. For example, books, not just any book, not a story book, but a book with theories or information on a specific subject or a matter. For example, this book written by W.M.C. Mackenzie with the title Design of Structural Steelwork. So this is a good book to refer if you are doing some kind of a study in this area. Journals. Journals are kind of a publication introduced or made available by some authority or an entity or maybe even a university with research articles. These are called journal papers. So some journals, they publish a volume every year or once in 6 months or once every quarter. So they are coming from credible sources. As long as they are coming from credible sources, you can refer to journals to get information. And similar to journals, we have conference proceedings. So journals do not require a physical event, but in conferences, there is a physical event where researchers gather to present their work on a specific subject. This example, World Conference on Transport Research. This is like the leading conference for the researchers in transportation engineering to publish their work. So if you attend such a conference, you will get to witness work done by other researchers. And after the conference, usually a booklet will be made available with all the papers presented in the conference. So this publication or else this booklet is known as the conference proceedings booklet. So you can refer to these publications available in conference proceedings. Sometimes they are made available online as well. So that is also somewhat similar to a journal, but we distinguish them separately. And apart from that, we have reports. Again, reports should come from an authentic source. For example, the annual report of the Board of Governors of Federal Reserve System. So this is a government entity. Therefore, their annual report is credible. We can believe it. We can extract information and we can rely on such publications. And websites. Again, it has to come from an authentic source. For example, the Department of Census and Statistics. If you want to get some information related to census data, you can refer to the official website of a particular country. Then again here, you must make sure you are not referring to websites such as Wikipedia, because Wikipedia, anyone can change it. So you don't know whether the information available on Wikipedia is 100% correct or not. And social media, because anyone can upload anything to social media, anyone can emanate information in an unethical manner, or you can share fake or doctored information, media on platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Therefore, extracting information from such platforms is not recommended in academic research and even in industrial research. Sometimes there can be instances where you can refer to the official Facebook page or the Twitter handle of some entities, such as maybe the central bank, or else if there's like a spokesperson or a representative to the government, if that person is sharing information through his or her official Twitter account, then yes, of course, you can refer to such information available on social media, but you need to be really careful, because you need to make sure that whatever the information you're extracting is 100% true and authentic. Interviews. If a reliable, credible person like the CEO of Apple is being interviewed by an entity like CNN, like I've shown in the example, in such a case, yes, you can refer to the information or the ideas being discussed in that interview if your research is relevant to the topic discussed in the interview. So interviews, again, you need to make your own judgment whether you can trust that interview or not. Patents. If the patent has been published after going through the application process, reviewing process, and if the patent has been published by the national body of that particular country, yes, then you can refer to such patents to extract whatever the information that you require. And sometimes you may have to refer to periodicals and other miscellaneous sources, such as press conferences, magazines, videos, recordings. Again, here also, it's up to you to judge and decide whether the source is reliable or not. So these are some of the common sources for you to refer to get information, right? So let's move on. And how can we access these? Books, journals, conference proceedings, and other articles. Most of them can be accessed through their websites. You don't always have to find the hard copy of it. Nowadays, everything is available on the web. Especially journals and conference proceedings are available on their official website. But sometimes it might not be freely available. You may need a subscription, or else you may need to make a payment before you can view or download the full document. Some papers are freely available, some are not. So in such cases, the best thing to do is to make the payment or get a subscription and get the full content of the paper. And if you cannot afford the cost, there's another way of doing it. It's another way of obtaining the paper, that is by emailing, because we are in the scientific community. So as a scientist who's doing a research in the same area, you can email the authors of the paper that you want to refer, saying that you are also a scientist doing a study on this particular topic and so and so. And you can send an official request through an email to the author or authors. So if they decide to share the paper with you, they will do so. So that's another way of obtaining the access to view the full content of the paper. these are some of the websites where you can find research publications. If you go to these websites and if you search for something related to your research papers, articles will appear. The most famous place to search for articles is Google Scholar. Because if you just go to Google and search for something, it will show you all types of results like videos, photos, maps, news, and everything. But if you go to Google Scholar and search for something, it will only show you research publications. Emerald, Springer, Elsevier, IEEE, EBSCO, Science Direct, all these are publishers. There are also, you can go and see other people's publications. You can also get a subscription if you want to read the full content for some of the journals and other articles. ResearchGate is like social media for researchers. You can create your own profile. You can interact with other scientists. You can see what they're working on at the moment. You can also share what you are working on at the moment. You can also share your publications. So it's a community for scientists. You can have your own Google Scholar profile and ResearchGate profile. So in Google Scholar, you can have all your publications listed for other people to see. And if your research article gets referred by someone else, that information will also appear here. You can see the Google Scholar profile of Stephen Hawking. And on the right, you can see the ResearchGate profile of Kip Thorne, well-renowned scientists. Right? So you can also do this because as a researcher, this is the best way to show your contribution and the impact of your contribution to the scientific world. And here is something you need to be very careful of. Even in the scientific community, even in the world of research, you have people who are trying to make money in unethical ways. The previously mentioned sources such as Emerald, Elsevier, EBSCO, they are accepted worldwide. They are reliable publishers. But in the recent times, in the past few decades, other entities that just appeared out of nowhere, they also started publishing their own journals. So the sole purpose of these journals is to make money. Because for the undergraduates and postgraduates, they have a requirement to publish their research papers. Therefore, they are looking for an easy way to get a publication in a journal. So compared to the accepted journals, these journals are very affordable. For example, if Science Direct is charging you $2,000 to publish your article, these journals might charge you just $300. Way less than a good journal like Science Direct or Emerald or EBSCO. Therefore, people who don't know, they tend to choose these journals known as predatory journals or predator journals, and they publish their articles in these journals. The problem with these journals is they are not accepted in the scientific community. If you have a predatory publication, then you will lose the respect you have among the scientists. Therefore, be very careful when you are referring to other sources, and especially when you are going to publish your own work later on when you are done with your research. So we have been talking a lot about the external sources, referring, and so on, but we did not really define what referencing is. Right? So as I told you in the beginning, we have two parts in this: referencing and citations. So when we are writing our dissertation or our thesis, inside the main body of our document. Soon after referring to some source, soon after stating some information we extracted from another source, we need to put citation. Citation is a very short indication of where the information was taken from. And at the end of the report, that means after the main content of the report, you have to add another section with a list of references stating all the external sources that you referred to. In other words, all the citations you have in the main body of the report will have the detailed version of it at the end of the report in the list of references. Right? So these are the two parts. You have citations in the main body of the document, and at the end of the document, you have the list of references. Because in citations, you can't give all the information about the external source. But in the list of references, you can include all the necessary details for the readers to see if they also want to refer to those sources. Right? And references and citations can be given to not only information, maybe to a graph, or maybe a picture, or any other illustration. And also, it doesn't have to be in the middle of a paragraph or a sentence. It can be even there in a figure caption or inside a table. And sometimes you may have extracted information from multiple sources. Therefore, in those cases, you need to put multiple citations. And you have to mention all of them in your list of references. Right? So there's a specific style of giving the citation and preparing the list of references. So these are standard formats coming from different entities developed by or introduced by different entities such as APA, IEEE, Harvard, Chicago. So we say that especially for undergraduates, in your degree, in your dissertation, you must use Harvard referencing style. That's an example. Or else in some conferences, they say you need to use IEEE style of referencing in your research paper. Right? So let's look at an example. If I'm taking this journal article with the title, "Why do young adults choose different transport modes?" A focused group study. So this is the title of the paper. And it is written by a couple of authors, not just one author. And it has been published in the journal Transport Policy. And this particular paper is available from page 151 to 159. And the year this has been published is 2014. Right? So if someone asks me to refer this, or else if I want to refer this and put this in my document, so firstly, how to put the citation, right? So this is the APA style of referencing. So if I'm using that style in my document, this is how I would put the citation. Right? You can see it in light blue color. So there were several authors. So in APA style of referencing, if you have many authors, what you do is you put the surname of the first author and you put et al. Et al means and others, and you put the year. So this is the citation. You can see an example in italics. A study conducted on transport mode choice of people has recommended that health benefits should not be emphasized when promoting transport in young adults. So that particular piece of information has been taken from another study. So after stating that in my document, I'm putting the citation as shown in the example towards the end of that sentence. And at the end of my report, I'll be adding that in my list of references according to APA style. And here is the reference. It shows all the authors, and see how the names have been given. You put the surname, put a comma, and then you put the initials, and then another comma. You put the name of the second author, third author, fourth author, and you put the name of the fifth author. Within brackets, you put the year, and you put a dot again, and then you put the title of the paper, and in italics, you put the name of the journal, and at the end, you put the page range. So this is particular to APA style. If you refer using another style like Harvard or IEEE, this format will change. Right? So this might look like a very difficult or a tedious task, but thanks to technology, we have tools to help us with referencing. Especially most of the people in today's world, we are using the word processing software we have with us, Microsoft Word. So there's an inbuilt tool in Microsoft Word for referencing. Right? You can go to the references tab and you can first pick the style of references. If you can refer to number 2 in the image on the left, there's a drop-down menu to pick the referencing style. And number 3, if you go to number 3, a dialog box will appear. So inside that, you can either add a new paper to it, which will appear on the current list, or on the left, you have the master list. So these are the papers you have referred previously in your previous documents. If you want to import them to your current list, you can do that as well. And on the image on the right side of the slide, so after writing something, if you want to add the citation, you can go to this button, Insert Citation. When you click on it, it will show you a list of papers. Right? So these papers are the papers that are on the current list. So if you want to refer to the third paper, right, if you want to include the citation for the third paper, you can simply click on it and the citation will appear. And once you are done composing the report, go to a new page, and there's another option here called bibliography. So click on it, again a drop-down menu will appear, and there you click on references, and when you click on it, all the referred sources will appear according to the style you have selected as a list of references. So it's very easy. The tools are there inbuilt in MS Word. And we have other tools like Mendeley, Zotero, EndNote. So they have plugins even, like you can install the Mendeley plugin to Google Chrome, and you can simply add even the web sources, web pages, everything you see, and download on the web via the Mendeley plugin. So it's even easier than MS Word. So you can install the Mendeley plugin to MS Word as well, and you can maintain all the sources that you referred in your library, and you can get the referencing done very easily. Right? So these are the tools available to us. So this is how referencing and citations are done. Hope you understood the lesson, and I will see you with the next video discussing about the techniques we use in literature review. Thank you.